This idea of karma, this idea of justice, these ideas. What is justice? What is karma? It's like I've talked about karma in previous videos, but what is karma in relation to justice? Is something just? You know, it's like philosophical shit, right? What is virtue? What is love? What is justice? What does it mean to be just? What is a life well lived? You know, very sophists like Socrates and Plato and Aristotle, Marcus Aurelius, you know, all these different philosophers. You think about these things. Justice and karma. They probably weren't talking about karma over there, were they? Karma is much more Eastern, much more Indian. This idea of karma and how it relates to justice. Why am I bringing this up? Because there's a lot of people out there, when you're blinded by this reality, when you're blinded by and bought into this physical, this reality, this like what's playing out there, the play of form, like Eckhart likes to call it, you start getting these ideas, life's not fair. What's fair? What's balanced? What's right? Oh, this didn't work out for me. That's not fair. Life's not fair. You don't understand the beauty and the balance in the polarities of what we think is good and bad and right or wrong and fair and unfair, justice and injustice. You don't get it. Well, how could you? If you don't know any of this other stuff and all you see is like all of the suffering, all of the pain, all of the wrongdoing, all of the trauma, right? All these people just like, it's just this reality, it's suffering. What kind of a God would create this suffering? What kind of a God would be so unjust? Your God that you think your God and my God but your God says this and this and this and like, oh, it's just so unjust, right? They love these arguments. They love them. And it tells you just how ignorant, how blinded they are. It's just unfair. There's no fairness. What you guys don't understand is that the fairness is built in to the karma of what happens. It's built in. So when I say on the flip side of your suffering is your salvation, well, on the flip side of what you think is fair is the unfair. And the flip side of what you think is unfair is the fair. How does that even make sense? It's very dual. Because these laws that are governing the very foundation, the very reality, something like the law of karma, that governs the isness of the reality. It's like there's nothing that you do that doesn't have some kind of a consequence, some kind of, even if it's not realized in that moment. Let's say you go kill somebody in a moment, but then you get away with it. You haven't gotten away with anything. So it's like there doesn't need to be a witness to bring you to justice for the murder that you committed. God's going to bring you to justice through your misalignment in that moment. And the degree to which you're aligned and however corrupted and nasty the action that you did has an equal and opposite reaction that is the justice built into what you have to learn later on to cleanse that karmic tally that you make. So you're not getting away with anything because obviously nothing is hidden to the grand creator knowing. Nothing. You're one with it. Everything is one with it. It's on top of it. God's the piece, the platform of everything. So anything that happens is automatically known in its isness. So if I lie, if I cheat, if I steal, if I do what we would label as sinful activities, right, in accordance with the 10 Commandments, whatever, you just know that it doesn't feel right to do it. You know right from wrong. I've said this in other videos. You know right from wrong, right? You do. Your right from wrong comes in here. And honestly, it looks very similar for most people, but there are shades and spectrums of this right and wrong for each individual. Something that you think is right for you may not be right for me in a moment. And it depends on your intention, and it depends on your perception of how you see reality. You're going to say, I stole. But if I was taking it with a different intention, because I had a grander understanding of what's going on in reality, then it may or may not be stealing to me for my own karma. It's like if you're in a scarcity-based reality and you're like, oh man, like you're afraid of surviving. You need to survive. You're afraid of like, you're in this scarcity place where like, it's just a struggle to survive. And then you go and you steal out of this like insecure, lack-based mindset. Yes, then it's a sin because it is the fear that is motivating this need to steal. What is the intention with which you do something? It's unlabelable. The action and the sin or the unsin, the just or the unjustness of it. And the karma takes care of it. So it's like, oh, we have all this suffering, we have all this pain. A kid gets leukemia, right? Like I've said all of these things. A kid gets sick. A mom dies. Oh, that's bad. Okay? Somebody that's in power. Oh, look at all these corrupt, unjust things they're doing. Right? And then you have protests and all this stuff, and it's like, oh, look how unjust. How could we get to this place where we've nominated and elected these people? And it's like, guys, it's all happening as it's meant to happen. It's like God gives power and authority to these things that we give authority to based on us giving authority to it. The isness of the fact that it's happening, you cannot deny that. So how it's happening is it's how it's meant to happen. But it does not mean that you can't see through the illusion of what the nature of that reality is. And that it can come tumbling down in an instant. That we truly do have power to change. But people they don't see how they can change. Because they feel weak and powerless. Just one person, oh no, what can I do? That's okay. If you're meant to do something, if you're meant to enact change, then you're going to do it. And if you're meant to do it later on in life, then you're going to find a way. It's going to come to you, whether you want it or not. It's like you have a purpose that you came here for, and you're fighting against this purpose your whole life. And like, oh, life's not fair. Look at all this crappy shit that I had to go through. And you don't get that the crappy stuff that you went through is what's preparing you to step into your purpose. You don't get that all of the crappy experience that you are labeling as unjust is a part of a karma that is keeping a very reliable and meticulous and accurate tally on what is done and undone and needed on a person's journey to their ascension. Ooh, their ascension. This guy's talking about ascended stuff. You must be insane. Where am I ascending to? It's like if you don't believe in an afterlife, if you don't believe in a soul, if you don't believe in a soul's journey in reincarnation, if you don't understand the fundamental truths of these things, then you can't see the justness in the insanity. You can't see the opposite side of it, that the good is needed and the bad is needed too. What you label as good or bad arbitrarily. It's like, I'm going to bring someone to justice, and there's going to be a judge who's just so fucking noble, right? They're just so perfect. You have like flawed humans judging other flawed humans and just like arbitrarily assigning sentences to them. We just came up with this number. Oh, it sounds like a good number, yeah. Severe enough. Punishment. It's okay, yeah, like we should be punished for stupid shit that we do, guys. We should be. It's how you learn. And within that punishment is the karma. God allows it. It's like if you weren't meant to be punished, then you wouldn't have been caught, right? It's a whole thing. Just because somebody gets away with it, even if you think you got away with it, you didn't get away with it, man. There's no escaping like the reality. And you might not even find the punishment in this life, but it's waiting for you. And it's not like, see, this is the thing with these like apocalyptic kind of monotheistic Abrahamic type religions. There's this final judgment day where everyone's going to be judged. You die and you go get judged. Ooh. And so everything that you did in this one life is like so important and it's just judged. No. The judgment is the karma that you carry over into your next life. So now that shit that you fucked up on, you must learn about that in the next life. And however God draws up the plan for you in your next life is perfect and beautiful and balanced with the polarity of those energies. Just how fucked up you were in the previous life is going to dictate just how fucked up of a next reality you may or may not have. And so the punishment is embedded into the action itself, the karma, the justice. And so that's why I'm tallying up the good as much as I can. And by doing that, I purify myself. And by purifying myself, I align myself. And by aligning myself, the good is done as I see fit. And then what you judge about me as what is good or bad is irrelevant because of my own alignment and intention. And I've mentioned this, it's like the knight during the medieval times where it's like they're going to knight you and they're like, you must do what is good even if it leads to your death. That someone else may judge you and put you to death for an action that you did. But because for you in your own heart, it was the most noble, honorable thing to do of good, of just, then the consequences be damned, even to your own death. That's how powerful this is. And that's why someone's a martyr, right? You believe in someone like Jesus. And then you go to your own death in belief of him because you hold him on the pedestal and it's like he is of the highest good. I must believe to get into heaven. You bought into that delusion, but it's real for you. And so then your entire reality is based out of that one action, one alignment, one idea, one belief. So it's like the one belief, the one unbelief, the one thing is like the entire lens that changes the entire trajectory of what your life actually looks like. And so if you don't see the fundamental truths of life, karma and true justice, and like there is the bad and the good needed, and the polarities are needed to express the whole. If you don't understand those things, then of course it's all going to be a very scary, unjust world, unfair world. And then the easy victim, woe is me, oh my God, life hasn't worked out for me. That whole thing, it is an energetic property that comes out of the fundamental root misunderstanding of the reality itself. So that's why somebody telling you, oh, it's all perfect, it's all beautiful, there's karma and justice in everything that you do, it's all meant to be the way it is, they sound insane because you haven't realized the base fundamental shit, like I say. And so it's like, you can go backwards or forwards into this understanding. You can either have the grand fundamental realization, knowing the true Sophia, the wisdom. You can have that and then work your way backwards in understanding and then see how everything is played out, and out of its root, it comes back to the one. Or you have a whole bunch of stuff here on the mind that you're learning and learning and learning, and then eventually it leads you to the one through stillness and intuition. It's known, there's layers, they're known. I get it, I get this, I get that, I get this, I don't get this, I get this, I kind of don't get this, whatever. You're making sense in your mind. And then eventually you let the mind go, it expands, your intuition steps forward, and it makes all of the correlations that are needed to bring you to the fundamental base. It is the fundamental base out of which all of this arises, this stillness that you just got. You're like, oh, I see. And then I make the correlations between the just and the unjust, the karma and the necessity of the suffering. I see it. I'm like, oh, like life's so unfair. It's all unfair. Oh, your God thinks that it's like there's no your God or my God that's making things fair or unfair, guys. That's just your own mental labels of what you think it's like, because you think everything that's tied to God is like segmented through a religion. And I'm trying to get us to understand that it's time to go beyond religion, guys. It's time to go beyond and only filtering God through the lens of a religion, because that limits you too. It might point to all the truths, but there's so much extracurricular shit that's like just built up on top of it that's so utterly nonsensical. And then your average Joe sees just how nonsensical all of this religion shit. So you throw the whole thing in the fucking dumpster, the baby out with the bathwater. It's like, no, there's truths there. These things are needed, right? The suffering is needed. The bad is needed to prop up the good. You know that. I mean, you do know that, don't you? How are you going to know, like I've said, what's good if you don't experience the bad, right? Well, how are you going to know the just if you don't experience the unjust, or what you would label as unjust? It's like you're gonna look at your entire life through this like unjust label. Like it invites the victim, doesn't it? It's the next step, isn't it? If life is just so unfair, then I'm a victim, right? Oh, life is just happening to me. Oh no, I'm so powerless. It creates this powerless victim bitch mentality because life is just so unjust. So here's another aspect of it. It's like somebody born with a silver spoon. It's like you admire or envy someone that is rich, okay? And you think that like some people are like not meant to be rich or rich, and some people aren't meant to be, and they're just meant to be poor, and it's like it's like, guys, to know the rich, you have to know the poor, right? Because we're all an individual expression of God, because we're just one unique focal point of God, there needs to be that diversity in what people have, what people experience. So it's like the isness of who they are is just by itself. There's justice in every single person's creation. Whether you're poor, whether you have a lot, whether you're in the middle class, whether you go through this or this, someone that's blind, oh, they were born blind, how unfair. That's part, it's like all of these things are meant to be experienced. They're meant to be lived through and persevered through. You know, it's like, and then you're like, well, if I'm rich, what am I persevering through? You're persevering through that you can have everything, and that you can like literally have no need for anything in the physical, and yet there's still something missing, and yet there's still an internal emptiness, and that you're never going to be satiated, and you're just going to chase after the physical all the time. That's why it's set up that way. That you can have someone that has everything, and yet still be corrupted and greedy, and the seed of avarice and greed and lust for more, lost in that physical cycle. That's the lessons they're learning. And then the other person that may be poor and destitute and have nothing, they're meant to learn the lessons of what it means to be poor. And there is a justness in that. And there's a karma in that. How could there not be? That's their reality. And so for me, right? I am infinite. I am abundant. Even if I have nothing. How powerful is that? That like Jesus, you can give up everything and still walk into life being everything yourself while having nothing. What is stuff to you? Weak shit. What is, it holds no power over you. It comes in, I use it, I move on. Just as quickly as it came in and I used it, I'm next on to the next thing. The car, the experience, the house, just as quickly. It's like these things are more fixed, right? Like a car or a house, you use them more often, and then now you draw your personal POV from it, and you're like, I'm my house, I'm my car, I use them all the time. I'm a Toyota Prius, that's what I drive, right? No. Somebody could come and take my Toyota Prius and it wouldn't matter, man. That's how detached you have to be to this physical reality to truly step into your power. There's no half-assing this shit, man. There's no half-assing this. Just because you see me using something in the physical doesn't mean I'm lost in it. There's a difference. I can go have the most luxurious, most amazing experiences, and I likely will. I'll eventually step into abundance. I'll eventually have money and all the things I could ever have wanted. That doesn't matter if I'm not content in here. If I don't realize the beauty and the justice and the karma of how everything is amazing. Oh, it's just so imperfect. Oh, sad, sad. I didn't find the perfect wife. I didn't get the perfect job. I don't have enough money. See how unfair? See how unfair life is? See how unjust? The guy that was wrongfully accused and convicted and then did 30 years in prison, oh, how unfair. You think that that wasn't accounted for in God's life? That God didn't want to experience what it would be like through that person to be wrongfully accused and then experience that and still triumph over it? Maybe. Do you see? That I went through utter fucking hell myself. Utter hell. For years. Decades. Oh, it's so unfair. I had to go. No, look at what it's made me now. How perfect was it? That I wouldn't trade away a second of that suffering. How just was it? Perfection. That I did a crime, that I was like, in a way, wrongfully busted for what I did. And then that now it's almost like with hindsight, you can look back on it and see the beauty of it. At the time, of course, I would have thought it was unjust. It's like, oh man, I got the wrong end of the stick. I got caught for something that I really didn't mean to do, that I didn't intend to do. I guess I'll just, I guess my life is over now. And then it's very natural for the victim to come in. That's what set up shop in me. And then now out of the victim comes this powerlessness. And then it can turn into anger. It can turn into like apathy. It can turn into anything, just like grief. You're like grieving a formal, the idea of a former freedom that you may have had. For me, my life has changed now because I was arrested and then I went to jail and now I'm a felon. So I have this label that follows me around, and I have identified with it. There was no justice in what happened to me. Of course there was. Guys, I had to experience every aspect of that and its consequences. And it was too big, the vastness of how multi-layered all of those experiences were, that I can now look back on with hindsight. I could never have known any of that shit in the moment, and how it would all have intricately have played out step by step in a moment as time passed by, year after year after year. So yeah, in the moment you see like a kid gets sick, oh, how unjust, how unfair, life's unfair. But you don't know how multi-layered that one event is and how much the ripple effects go on and on and on in someone else's life, or even that child's life, even after they've passed and then reincarnated again. Like I said, if you don't get reincarnation, if you don't get the soul, if you don't get the journey that you're on, if you don't get the final destination of eventual awakening and enlightenment, if you don't get all of that, then how are you going to put things in their right place? Of course it's not going to make any sense. I don't believe in any of that woo shit. Okay, I mean, like, whatever, man, more power to you. Well, you're going to have a tough time, like, really, really coming to grasp with the true nature of reality. Then you're always going to have these questions like, why this, why that? I mean, like I tell you guys, like, it's very simple, the why this and the why that, when you really get the root of what's going on. It's not so utterly mysterious. The way life plays out and how multi-layered this tapestry is, yeah, that's mysterious. But like the beginning and the end, not as mysterious. You know what the goal is. You know what the end goal is. And from that end goal, you can extrapolate backwards where you came from and what you're doing now and where you're headed. That's what the mind does. It's good at that. But it's even whatever illustration the mind is drawing from that, you're backwards working, like I know that I'm eventually going to ascend. I know that I'm eventually going to reach enlightenment and that I'm going to graduate from the earth plane. I know that. Even the mind labeling everything from there, that is still at its root illusory. It's not on the mind. But it helps you put things in their right place for your intuition to then label it with the mind if it needs to, so that it can somewhat make sense. If we're going to make sense of anything on our mind's level, right? It's like, it's folly. It's utterly a masturbation, like I say. But if anything, at least it gives some comfort, doesn't it? Isn't it comforting to know that this stuff does make sense and it isn't some, oh no, super scary, I can't make sense of anything. It's just so unjust and like, what is this karma? And like, I don't get it. At least it gives you comfort in knowing that there is some kind of a grand plan, a grand intelligence running the show. That even the most insane thing that happens to you or anyone else, there is a reason, and not even just one reason, like I've said, millions of reasons baked into that one event that you could have no fucking clue or understanding of until maybe you're at the pearly gates with St. Peter waiting to get into heaven, like that whole illustration of like life after death. You're waiting for your final judgment, and St. Peter's there because he was chosen as the rock of the Christian church. All this bullshit, right? It doesn't work that way. If you guys want a closer idea of what it works like, what it looks like here and there and in between and whatever, the afterlife, go watch the near-death experiences, guys, the NDEs. Go watch those stories. And it's not like one person's focal point and experience of it and description of it is like the truth and that's the only way it can happen. No. There's so many layers because it's their own conditioning that comes back and labels it. That's how it's designed. But you're going to find a central theme in all of them. This is the same thing. You go through a tunnel, you go back to the light, you see, God or your ancestors or your guardian angels or whatever. They tell you everything's nice and warm and you feel all warm and fuzzy. You're close to the light. You feel that light, right? And then you come back with this realization. It's like if I was going to tell an atheist, man, okay, like nothing I say is ever going to convince you that there's a God, okay? Go look up on YouTube countless atheist stories that have a near-death experience, and then they come back and now they believe. Whoa, what happened? It's almost like you have to have a direct experience of it or some hallelujah awakening moment even in this physical reality to undo this conditioned mind that thinks this atheistic shit. And you're meant to be an atheist if you're an atheist. God wants to know what it's like to be super analytical, to super bought into the physical. Okay. And then in that, there's no true justice, is there? If I'm going to look at things just compartmentalized in one specific action and thing, of course that one action is unjust. And then you're telling me that some magical woo-woo spirit is keeping track of that action and that they're going to get what's coming to them in this life or the next? Yeah. It's exactly what I'm saying. It's exactly what I'm saying. So it's like, I don't need to judge or condemn you. I can, but I don't need to because God's already accounting for where you're at. Right? And so then from that understanding, it's much easier to forgive. You're like, it's not like some karma, what goes around comes around. On some level, yes, that's true. It is like a cause and effect, what goes around comes around. But that's not really it either. That's a very low-level interpretation of karma, what goes around comes around. The true root of it is within the action is built in. It's karma. Built in. Not, it comes later. No, built in. It changes the trajectory. And that one angle that you're taking from that one inaction now creates what they would say another timeline that you step into. And that whole timeline, that cone that comes out of all the different potentialities within that cone, that is a karmic layer that now you're bouncing within. Possibilities, polarities. So yeah, of course it's not going to make sense, man. Sometimes it's not meant to make sense. Sometimes it's just not meant to be understood on the level of your mind ever. Ever. But there's a peace and a comfort that comes in on knowing, it's like, oh, I'm taken care of, like I'm protected. I'm like, it doesn't matter what happens, like how much I fuck up or I don't fuck up. It's all intricately designed to get you on this path to freedom. Maybe one day you do see it. Maybe.